Good evening. It's now 6:30, and I call to order the regular meeting of the Victoria City Council. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on our agenda this evening is announcements. The state primary election is Tuesday, August 13th, and the polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. We encourage everyone to get out and vote. Night to Unite is tomorrow, Tuesday, August 6th, from 5 to 8 p.m. 27 parties have registered for a visit from public safety and city staff. New this year, our fire station will also be open, so if you don't have a party happening in your neighborhood or would like to meet other community members, we invite you to join us at the fire station. We hope to see you all during Night to Unite tomorrow. In other news, the City Council will be holding a budget workshop on Monday, August 26th at 5:30 p.m. The workshop will include the discussion of fees and charges for 2025, as well as a review of the general fund budget and levy in preparation for our maximum tax levy. The Council will not approve a final budget until December, so there's still time to provide input about the 2025 budget. The next order of business is to adopt the final agenda. Council, can I get a motion to adopt the final agenda?
Motion to adopt final agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is our open forum. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the council on an item that's not on the agenda or not in application form that will be coming to the council at a future time. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda and not in application form? Okay, seeing no one, let's move on to our consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are routine, administrative, and do not require deliberation, or are housekeeping items that are required by law. They're approved with one vote unless someone requests an item to be considered separately. Ms. Hardy, does staff wish to pull anything from the consent agenda this evening?
None from staff, Madam Mayor.
Members of the council, anyone wishing to pull anything? Or a member of the audience wishing to pull an item from the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I will take a motion for the consent agenda.
Motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now on to our regular agenda. The first item this evening, item 6.1, is to consider the Waterbrook Church site plan and building materials review. And kicking us off this evening is our city planner, Brian McCann. Mr. McCann, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. Yes, tonight we do have a site plan and building materials application submitted by Waterbrook Church as well as Station 19 Architects. We'll look at their exterior elevations as well as their materials proposed for their new walls and roof, as well as some color samples for the principal and secondary exterior colors and area context. So looking at the current location, they are at 8725 Church Lake Boulevard. The parcel is approximately 8 acres in size and is accessed from County Road 43. They are an existing church site with some wooded areas and a small utility site on the western boundary. They're also adjacent to Wasserman Lake and surrounded by other residential properties. They are zoned R1 low-density residential in our zoning map, which does allow places of worship and assembly, including cemeteries and memorial gardens, as a permitted principal use. It's guided for public and institutional in our comprehensive plan, which does allow religious institutions. Looking at their proposed site plan, they do meet all of the minimum requirements for the R1 bulk standard for worship and assembly uses. They're meeting all the setbacks. They also are allowed a maximum impervious surface amount of 60%. They are at 18.34. That impervious surface also plays into the shoreland because they are a shoreland property, so it's actually 25% maximum for that standard, but they're meeting the R1 standard here. And they're also less than the maximum building height allowed. Looking at the design review, we'll look at the architectural details such as the building facades, color, and roof design, as I mentioned earlier. So they are proposing all materials that are consistent and allowed within our Section 18-8 residential performance standards. They're proposing lap siding, aluminum storefront, EIFS, manufactured stone, and asphalt roof shingles. So here's the elevation if you're walking towards the building from the parking lot. And then here are some other renderings of the proposed addition. And then here's another rendering from that parking lot view of what it would look like when you're walking up to the front of the building. Moving on to the site plan review, we'll look at the parking and access, the shoreline district requirements, landscaping, tree preservation, and signage. Regarding their parking and access, they are proposing curb and gutter. Their current parking lot does not have curb and gutter, so this would be a new standard for them to comply with our stormwater management requirements. They are also proposing to retain the existing access without any modifications. They're also meeting our minimum requirement of 1 stall for every 4 permanent seats in the largest assembly area. So based on that, they're required to have 34 stalls, but they're proposing 96 parking stalls. As I mentioned, they are within the shoreline district, which has a maximum impervious of 25%. They are meeting that standard at 18.34%. They also have 3 accessory structures on site. 2 are allowed per the R1 zoning district with 1 additional water-oriented structure. So they're meeting the accessory structure requirements of our shoreline district. They're also meeting all other standards regarding bluff regulations, vegetation management, land use regulations, and bulk standards. For their landscaping and tree preservation, they're proposing removal of less than 20% of the trees on site, so they are not obligated to replace them. They are meeting our 50% open space requirement. They are also not required to have buffers or foundation plantings, but they are proposing some additional tree plantings along County Road 43. And then they are also showing parking lot landscaped areas as required per our code. So when reviewing this application internally, our community development, fire department, public works, building department, and engineering reviewed this application. And then externally, Carver County did review this request as well. As I mentioned, the city engineer reviewed this regarding streets and access, utilities, and stormwater management requirements from the MCWD and the curb and gutter standard, which I mentioned earlier. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at their meeting on July 16th. There was discussion involving clarification on the accessory structures on site, the access from County Road 43, parking and seating for future growth of the church, as well as parking lot lighting and the potential for daycare, which was stated is not desired by the applicant at this time. There were not any comments from the public, and the Planning Commission recommended approval with a unanimous 7-0 vote. With that, I have some sample motions for you on the screen, the first being to adopt, the second to table, which is not recommended since their 60 days are up next week, and the third being a motion to deny. Staff can stand for questions, and representatives of the application are in the audience this evening.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. McCann. Council, questions? Okay, pretty straightforward. I do have a question if the applicant would step forward, please. I don't know, please introduce yourself.
Yep, sorry, we're both coming forward, but I'm Dan Torgerson with Station 19 Architects.
Okay.
And I'm Steve Kowalski with the church.
Okay. So I'm curious about that parking. That's a lot of parking. Usually we're fighting people to add parking. Now we want you guys, and you guys have about 3 times what you need. So talk to me a little bit about the parking and why you're proposing so much.
We don't really see it as 3 times what we need. It's 3 times the city
Requirement, yes.
But Station 19 has a standard of one parking stall for every 2 seats.
Okay.
So in that respect, we're a little short from kind of our standards. So that's
Okay.
why we're we're increasing the parking.
Okay, very good. And then a little bit about the accessory structures that are already on the site?
There are two sheds on the site,
Okay.
and one's a garage that was originally there, and one's a shed that we store our lawn mowing equipment on.
Okay, okay,
There's also a little tiny shed that stores our lawn mowing or our snow blowing equipment, and that's we had three sheds there, and that's why they was brought up during the planning commission because
Okay.
that's not allowed evidently.
okay. All right, and you guys have a way to remedy that, I trust?
I believe that we've come to an agreement with the city about what's going on with that.
Okay.
Correct?
Correct.
What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so as I mentioned in the presentation, there are two accessory structures permitted by the zoning district with a third structure being allowed per the shoreland district. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So they're within,
correct. Yep, so allowed 3 and they have 3. They're good.
and then can you show me the picture again where the current building is, and do you have the current building and then the addition?
Maybe the rendering, is that what you're?
Yeah, maybe, so this is, there, so which of this is currently there and which of this is an addition? And I don't know, Brian, can you show me with your cursor?
Really, if you look at the picture, most of what's on the right-hand side of the picture is new.
Okay.
And the left is existing. Where that cross is, where essentially there's a gable roof right there. We're building up the roof to kind of help box it out. And so we're looking for a way to signify this is a church and not just a house, because that's some of the problems that they currently have.
Understood. Okay, very good, thank you. That's all the questions I have. All right. So seeing no more discussion, this is pretty straightforward, council. I will ask for, entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt the resolution approving the site plan and building materials application for Waterbrook Church.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next item is item 6.2, which is consideration of a sketch plat request for the West Creek Village residential development. And again, City Planner Brian McCann, please.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Yes, tonight we have West Creek Village residential development proposal from Lennar. They have submitted the sketch plat application to receive initial feedback from the Planning Commission and City Council. As such, there should be no approvals or actions taken this evening. It's simply to provide the applicant with guidance moving forward for subsequent preliminary plat, site plan, and conditional use permit applications. So the location and area, consists of 2 parcels, approximately 89 acres in size. It's north of County Road 10, Angler Boulevard, west of the Marsh Hollow development, and south of the Marsh Lake Hunting Club. They are proposing uses of 15 single-family homes and 156 row townhomes. The existing conditions on the site, it's generally flat, vacant farmland with wetlands present throughout the site, as the colored portions of the screen show. And then additionally, a portion of West Chaska Creek runs through the northern portion of the site. In our comprehensive plan, this property is guided for low-density residential, as well as medium-density residential, open space, and a very small portion of commercial adjacent to Highway 10 on the south. A comprehensive plan amendment would be required for a small portion of the medium density and commercial. As mentioned, this also requires the density under 2.25 units per acre. So as they're proposing it right now, they're proposing at 2 units an acre. Our minimum is 2.25, but this could potentially fall into that conservation residential district we talked about previously with the Hunters Brook development, since they would have some components of environmental preservation and a portion of the site is within the shoreland overlay district with that creek to the north. For the annexation and rezoning, this property is currently within Laketown Township, so an annexation is required, which automatically establishes a agricultural zoning. They are proposing a PUD with underlying R1 for the single family and then proposed standard R3 for townhomes. Rezonings would be required for both. And at the time of writing the case, we needed some more information on the townhomes to determine that they were going to meet the requirements. But as I'll show you here in a moment, they are meeting all the R3 standards. So here is the sketch plat that was submitted. Here it is oriented north to south, as you've seen in some of the previous images in this presentation. The green line they're showing here is just to visually represent the land use split. So here's the medium density portion with the commercial down to the south here. Everything north of this green line is guided for low density single family type uses. You can see that the single-family homes in green are proposed at 70-foot lot width, and the ones in yellow are 100-foot lot width, with townhomes shown in the orange and blue on the south portion of the site. So here are the deviations that were presented. The ones in bold are the proposed deviations. So for the R1, they're proposing a 70-foot lot width instead of 80, as well as a 25-foot front setback instead of 30. There's still a few unknowns about their proposal, but we will get that information in the future. And then regarding the townhome standards, they are meeting all of the minimum requirements, so no PUD is required there. Here are some of the architectural renderings provided by the applicant to show the type of product for the townhomes that would come with this area. And then regarding the parking, our single family requirement is 2 enclosed spaces per unit, and for townhome, 2 spaces with at least one of those enclosed for 50% of the units. So basically 1.5 enclosed per unit. They are showing 14 guest parking stalls as well, which I've circled on the plan. Based on the parking evaluations and the architectural renderings that they've submitted, they would meet the minimum parking requirements. Regarding landscaping and tree preservation, we require boulevard trees every 35 to 45 feet on the right-of-way and place 20 feet from intersections. They will have to comply with our planting requirements of 3 trees per single-family lot and 1 tree per 1,000 feet of required open space for the townhomes. They also have to have foundation plantings for the townhomes and buffers, a 40-foot buffer specifically along County Road 10 and a 25-foot buffer between the R1 and R3 uses. They have a minimum percent or 50% open space requirement for the single-family portions and 25% for the townhomes, and their tree preservation will be evaluated at preliminary plat. We didn't get any tree preservation plans at sketch plat because it's not required at this stage. For the shoreland overlay, as I mentioned, a portion on the northern area is within our shoreland overlay district because there are areas within 300 feet of West Chaska Creek. This would apply for the single-family homes. The standards for that would be a maximum 25% impervious and a minimum 75-foot lot width. As I mentioned, they're proposing 70 feet. This would require a variance from our DNR. Regarding parkland dedication, based on this submittal, they would be required to provide about 5 acres in parkland or just over $500,000 if they were to do an all-cash fee in lieu of land. They do have proposed 6.5 acres of wooded upland, wetlands, and open field, as well as 8-foot trails and 5-foot sidewalks throughout the development. The Parks and Recreation Committee did review this at their meeting on July 15th and stated they would be supportive of cash fee in lieu or other uses for the parkland other than the open space being presented. Regarding the Highway 10 access, they are showing a private temporary access. Carver County did review this and comment that future land dedication is required for the highway expansion and trail along 10, and that the access is removed once future city streets are built to the west. One of them is shown on the screen here, but they also have the collector street to the north that would be extended as well. Regarding grading and stormwater management, they must meet the Carver County Watershed Management Organization rules, including wetland impact mitigation. And then wetlands, including buffers, shall be located on outlots deeded to the city. And the stormwater facilities should have access provided to the outlots and that they cannot encroach onto private property. The site utilities are proposed to extend from Creekside Lane to the east, that collector road that I mentioned, and well number 6 must be completed and permitted by the DNR before services outside the current city limits can be served. So startup is temporarily delayed until September. Kara just informed me this morning, and that the DNR permit for pumping has yet to be issued, and we're not quite sure when that is going to occur. Also of note, this area is within a future search area for an additional water treatment plant. The Planning Commission reviewed this request at their meeting on July 16th, and they provided comments which were included in the case report regarding the road network and pedestrian connections, concerns about the proximity to the railroad, Highway 10, the Hunt Club, and adjacent developments, as well as the lot width reduction and shoreland requirements, the comprehensive plan amendment and density requirements, the CCWMO review of West Chaska Creek impacts, parkland dedication, and questions regarding outlot ownership for wetlands, stormwater facilities, or other conservation areas. Here's a summary of the deviations that are proposed with the development. The first one being that reduction in lot width that I mentioned, which requires a DNR variance. The reduction in R1 standard lot width from 80 feet to 70 feet. The reduction in the front setback from 30 feet to 25 feet. Also that their initial sketch did not include any landscape buffers. The open space park without amenities that our Parks and Recreation had concerns with, and the low end of the density scale. As I mentioned, for the townhomes, they're allowed 6 to 12 units per acre. They're proposing 6 1/4 for the townhomes. And then for the low density, they're proposing that 2 units an acre, which requires that conservation residential amendment. With that, that's everything that I have. I have some potential considerations or discussion points on the screen for you this evening. Staff can stand for questions, and the representative of the application is in the audience as well.
All right, very good, thank you. Council, comments on this?
Yeah.
Chad, do you want to kick us
Sure.
off?
So can you talk a little bit more about, so the entrances into this development, right? So off of 10, it would be a temporary access until that road was upgraded, basically. Is that my understanding?
Correct. Until the road is upgraded or until future development extends to the west from this road here and from the collector road here.
Okay. And then there isn't, where is the on 11, is there, or are they coming through from another development? I see that.
Yeah, they are coming through from the Marsh Hollow development. You can kind of see the edge of one of the roads here.
Yep.
I can pull up a different map for reference. So here's the area that we're talking about. Here's Creekside Lane, the collector road, and the Marsh Hollow development. So this road would come through here.
Where is Creekside Lane accessed? Off,
Way up at.
Not that one.
Right, Harvester.
Yeah, so Creekside Lane would come through here and work its way.
so how do you get onto Creekside Lane from, if you go back to that other picture?
Yeah,
I think it was like Harvest. I think, was it Harvest?
It's through Hunter's Brook. Where's the access off 11?
Yeah,
oh, off 11. Yeah,
Farm Road.
yeah, further up and to the east here.
So is there
Game farm.
concerns from, I guess, our fire chief or other, right, like response times, like winding through, and I mean, I guess there'll be a temporary road for at least some of the time, right? So is that with that temporary road, would we be able to get fire trucks through there? I guess what are the standards for a temporary road?
Sure. Council member, I did receive some comments from the fire department. I don't believe that was one of them, so I'm just going to assume that's not a concern for them. They definitely would have thought about access and getting back there, and I think they're comfortable with the temporary access until future roads are established to the west.
What with the product? What are we looking at, or what are you looking at? Are these market rate townhomes and houses? Are they?
Please, come on. Why don't you come up and answer some questions here?
Good evening, Mayor McMillan and members of council. Is this on?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so product, thanks for asking. It's townhome. So for the townhome area, it's what's known as our Liberty townhomes. We've built these in several communities throughout the Twin Cities. Most proximate to here would be in Chaska, right off of just east of the Kelzer farm. It's called Pioneer Vista. So you can take a look at them there. These are unique in that they can function as slab on grade or also have a basement, depending on grading and groundwater. I think here we're looking at probably mostly slab on grade because it's a pretty linear kind of tight site that way, and there's obviously quite a bit of wetland and the creek surrounding it. So the water table, if you're getting into basements, you probably have to lift the site up quite a bit in order to make basements work.
So 2-story.
Right, 2-story, yep. And then on the single family, we're looking at anything between something similar to what we're building in Brookmore or Laketown, or what's being built currently in Hunters Brook. We haven't yet determined if it's going to be Lennar building those or another builder. We're still working through that, but that's what we're looking at there. And then the variance on the lot width, we are proposing 70-foot width on 9 of those single family, but 100-foot on 6 of them. The 100-foot would be the yellow ones there. Would be kind of similar to what was done in Hunters Brook Creek side, where they have a handful of homes being serviced by private roads in order to limit the amount of grading and tree removal, things like that. So that's the idea there, because it's kind of tight with wetlands, and it's our understanding that potentially some quality trees in there. We haven't done a tree inventory yet, but that is our plan to do one between now and preliminary plat submittal. And so just kind of trying to, with the 70-foot wide lots in green, trying to up our density a little bit. As I mentioned that with Planning Commission, the Met Council's been getting very strict with approving sanitary permits. And if they don't, if a particular addition of a development doesn't meet the minimum density outlined in the comp plan, they are not issuing sanitary permits. So we've actually had to go back, and a couple cities have had to amend their comp plan to lower their density ranges, things like that. So in the past, it was something that Met Council would allow the city to kind of average out citywide. Now they've changed gears, and they're looking at the individual application in front of them. So we're trying to get close. I think to get to the minimum density for low density would be pretty tough unless we impacted the creek, removed a ton of trees. So we're supportive of staff's suggestion to amend the comp plan to bring that from low density down to conservation residential, which would allow for fewer homes to be built. And if that gets approved, then Met Council will be able to approve our sanitary permit that way.
I neglected to ask you to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've done this enough times, I should know. Josh Metzer, Lennar, Minnesota. We're out of the Plymouth office.
Thank you, Mr. Metzer. Sorry about that. Councilmember Roberts, other questions, comments?
I guess just kind of what kind of amenities are you seeing, right? It doesn't look like there's like a clubhouse or anything for the Tut Lake. No, you know, it's looks like a lot of wetland and stuff, so not really any parkland or whatever. But what, I guess, amenities, they're kind of a little bit out here by themselves, right? So what do they have?
Yeah, so as far as specific amenities for, you know, as far as the townhomes, the private side of it, we haven't gotten into that yet. We usually like to get through the concept period to see what comments come back. Likely we could get a tot lot in there somewhere. I would like to see some more trails on here myself, especially connecting to the east a little bit, if possible, maybe even on the southeasterly side there, whether or not we can get something in there, which looks like an old farm road. I don't know if you can see that little bit of upland going across the wetland. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there, Brian.
Yeah, can you?
So we might evaluate if we could pop a trail in there somehow to connect over to the southwest side of Marsh Hollow. Either way, if we can make it happen, you'll see it at the pre-plat. Another thing that we were hoping that the park board might reevaluate is the northwest corner where we were proposing some parkland dedication. There's actually quite a nice open field back there. We walked the site last fall with staff members from Carver County WMO, and it's not a part of the property that we can really access to build lots on because we'd have to cross the creek with a road. That'd be quite a bit of impact that I don't know would be approved, and frankly, I don't know that we want to pay for all the, you know, whether you're buying credits or restoration or things like that. So there is quite a bit of upland in that northwest corner, and it had been farmed historically, so there's quite a bit of open area there. And it's pretty serene. It's a very pretty property, and it's you got Marsh Lake Hunt Club on the north there, so it's preserved to the north there as well. So I don't know if a site visit with park board and council would be worthwhile, but maybe something to look at. Otherwise, it will just be open space that would probably be owned by the HOA, and we're hoping to keep HOA fees down. So that's why we're not proposing we're certainly not going to propose a clubhouse or pool or anything like that, because that certainly drives up HOA costs pretty quickly. But a tot lot should be pretty easy to handle. And but anything beyond that, anything happening in the northwest corner there being open space, I don't know that the HOA would be able to really handle much more than that. So what we're proposing, maybe the city might want to take it to program it as a public park if they thought it was valuable.
Did you say market rate is what you're expecting here?
Yep. So the townhomes will probably we're hoping to start out at 380 to 390 in there. So, and single family, again, it's going to depend on who's building, and but that'll be market rate as well.
I've got a couple
Yeah,
comments
Councilmember
or
Rice,
questions.
please.
On the makeup of the townhomes, size-wise, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, what are you,
They are all 3-bedroom.
all 3-bedroom? Okay.
Yep. They have they're all 25 feet wide by, I think 70 some feet deep. So they're a good size. 2-story. All the bedrooms are up.
And then units, it looked from the picture, and this 6 obviously is the max, but is there 4 to 6 in each unit, or in each?
Yeah, so we have to build these in
building?
even number. Some of our townhomes we can build in even or odd. These
Yeah.
we build in 4s or 6s.
Got it.
We can actually even build them as twins.
Okay.
We've done that before.
And then just one other comment. I've heard the noise thing on the railroad side mentioned multiple times. Have you thought of anything?
Yeah, we
help out with
anything
that,
like,
or-
a railroad or the gun club.
Yeah.
We have a community that was built next to a site that has rodeos frequently. We put disclaimers in there that the buyers are required to review and sign as acknowledgement that there's various things here, whether it's environmental or noise. We always put things in there like that, because as much as the city doesn't want to hear it, we know that we would hear it too, and we'll try to cut those things off at the beginning.
Okay, great.
Are the houses are they pretty standard, like, or will the buyer, will there be, an option for, are they all 2-story, like, basically, or like if a senior wanted to, someone who's maybe older and wanted single floor, you're right, a Rambler
single
type
family?
thing. Yeah, like, are there options for that? And then
Yeah,
I guess, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. We have a single family. So obviously we have like a villa product, but we also have a single family floor plan called the Clearwater that has, I think it's 1,900 square feet, 3 bedrooms on the main level. It's option to finish out the basement. So that is something that we do offer in most of our single family communities as an option to build.
And then with the townhomes, I guess I would just suggest too, like I've heard from people where, they like these ideas of townhomes, but as they get older, they're like, it would be nice if instead of they're all on the second floor again, right? Like if you have at least 1 bedroom or whatever on that main level so that, guests can go upstairs basically type thing.
Sure.
So yeah, those are kind of the things that I'm hearing, so.
And just to dovetail on Councilmember Roberts' comments, we have quite a bit of this product at our community already. And what we do here is we don't have single level living for people who want to leave their big homes and go into a smaller, more what you mentioned, a villa type product. So 2 or 3 bedrooms, maybe on grade, more affordable, not into the $500,000-$600,000 range. I would love to see something that has a better neighborhood feel. This feels very generic to me, these pictures. And I think from our standpoint, to Councilmember Roberts' point again, that's far away. And if we are trying to fill in product that we need, what we really need is single level places for folks to retire. If that's the market, and they want to play pickleball, they don't want to have to come all the way into town to play a game of pickleball or to gather to play cards or, have some fun with their neighbors. So to me, I feel like this is a product we have and we are missing the boat on a product that we don't. And that's what we hear. We want to downsize from our big 2-story homes into something smaller. And I want that neighborhood feel. So I'm not likely or compelled to lessen the lot sizes. I think we've got a lot of that kind of stuff going on here. I think people are interested in having a little elbow room. So not necessarily interested in squishing down the lot sizes and the setbacks to get more of this, which we already have. So there's a couple of neighborhoods here in Victoria that are very high demand neighborhoods. One of them is the Gallery, which is kind of on the backside of the Deer Run neighborhood. And the other is Greencrest is another kind of townhome or villa neighborhood.
The Gardens one.
The Gardens, yeah. There's some of those really nice neighborhoods, and I think that's what our residents are asking for is more of that kind of product. And so while I appreciate all the good work you've done on your sketch plat, there's a pretty good list of concerns around the sizing of these lots and the lack of amenities down in an area where it's not easily accessible to the rest of the community. So we do want to build a nice neighborhood down there with some good amenities as well. So I guess that would kind of be my feedback. Just kind of looking through my notes here. Yeah, and trails, I love the idea of having great trails that connect them, where you can get on your bike and come downtown. That sort of thing, the pedestrian connections. There's a lot of concern about all those driveways coming out onto one street. I don't know, Brian, maybe you can help me more with the concerns around that, but lots of driveways coming onto streets, which makes is concerning for public safety issues and that sort of thing.
I think the concern with this, the driveways onto the one road, I think most of it was, in speaking with the planner that made the comments, a lot of it was the garage forward and the straightaway stretch of so many garages in one long linear line. We spoke with our engineer. There's certainly ways we can reorient the street layout to lessen that straightaway. We're gonna have to have a couple of straightaways, obviously, but certainly we can kind of switch up the layout here to shorten that straightaway stretch. We can probably do a little bit of coving of the roadway. So there's things we can do with the layout.
Yeah, I would encourage you to take a close look at that. That's always a concern. And, you know, anything you can do to make this, I know I'm not being very articulate about my neighborhoody feel, but, you know, places for people to gather because it isn't easily accessible to the other parts of the community at this point. I know we are working really hard to get some commercial development down there, you know, that can help with that, but you know, we want it to be walkable and charming and easily accessible to their neighbors. You know, one of the things we really work hard at is encouraging great neighborhood interaction here, and this is one way to do that. So, so I would encourage you to take those comments back and
if I could speak to the product type
Sure,
also.
certainly.
Yeah, we certainly know that there's a need for single level living, but this is a medium density property. And in order to hit the numbers that we need, a single level plan just does not work. We used to build a kind of a quad product that was single level quad building that had obviously all the bedrooms on one level, but it takes up so much square footage. It's kind of a land hog. It really is. So to build a single level product with 3 bedrooms in each unit and get the numbers that are needed to hit this medium density, we'd never get there. I mean, right now we're just above the minimum as it is with this product, and it's a 25-foot wide home, a little bit deeper, but only 25 feet wide. So to go to anything less, we're not going to hit that density. I guess the good news for the city is everything going westward of this parcel is low density. So there will be opportunity for that type of product later on. But you know, this is I think the only medium density parcel in this, at least in this immediate area going westward. I think I'm correct. Right?
You might be. I can pull it up to verify.
Yeah, it was between this and then of course the area that's being built townhomes right now over south of Hunters Brook.
Yep. There's some areas further west, but a lot of
it is
low density.
And I think the idea is to, you know, as with most comp plans, to concentrate the density towards busier thoroughfares like Angler, like Highway 10. And yeah, as far as amenities on site, we definitely have some ideas that we can work with to add, like I said, a tot lot. We did something similar to a gathering area in that Pioneer Vista community over in Chaska there, where we had a grilling area. We had some permanent fire pit that's a gas fire pit actually, and some picnic tables. So, you know, an outdoor area to gather. And it's of course near the tot lot, so people can hang out and still keep an eye on their kids. So yeah, we have some ideas for some amenities. But again, might be some value in taking another look at the park dedication in that northwest corner. Again, you know, as I mentioned, we're trying to keep the HOA fees low, so the more amenities that you know, pile onto a community, these people are going to be paying for on a monthly basis. And there is also, I know it's not immediate to this neighborhood, but there is a city park that will be part of, I don't know if it's open yet or not, but in Marsh Hollow, and then obviously also the city park along 11 in Hunters Brook there. So a couple city parks, maybe that's the reason they're not interested in adding another city park, but hopefully maybe at least worth another look at it.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, other questions? Comments?
I mean, I guess my only other comment would just be, because I believe you said, right, no, there's not gonna be any berming or anything, like, to basically kind of hide, not hide, but, you know, the railroad tracks there, right? So how close, I guess, I think it's the townhomes that are closer, right, to there, so how close are we getting to the railroad tracks, and, you know, is there anything we can do there, whether it's, you know, a hill, a berm, right, some trees that kind of help block it out a little bit and help with sound a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. Our landscape section of code does require buffers along major thoroughfares, so railroad, highway, they will be required to put in some sort of buffer. And then, as I mentioned, they also will be required to put in a 25-foot buffer to separate the proposed land uses here that they have to split the townhomes and the single-family lots.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Very good. Last comments? Okay. Seeing none there, we don't need to vote on this. This is just for to provide some feedback. So at this point, there are no more items on our regular agenda. So we'll move on to the reports and emerging issues. So I will talk to Ms. Hardy first. Anything from staff?
I think Claudia has something for you this evening.
Ms. Edisfold, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. We're excited to announce we have a new art collection on display as part of our ongoing collaboration with Zeller Studios. This collection features watercolors, paintings by Andy Evanson, showcasing local landscape, water, scenery, and small towns. The public is invited to view this beautiful collection during business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30, Fridays from 8 a.m. to noon, and all paintings are available for purchase, and we can provide them with the contact information.
Very good. Thank you, Claudia. Members of the council, any reports from the council this evening? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned.